All right, good evening, everybody. David Paul with you here in the KHOU 11 Weather Center. It is Thursday evening. This is our 9 p.m. every night tropical update. We got a lot to talk about with this disturbance moving into the Gulf. Real quickly, we are now officially in El Niño. Today, NOAA decided that the waters of the equatorial Pacific have gotten to the point where they can declare it an El Niño. Basically, you're looking at the El Niño region here, and that has impacts potentially for the storm count. Strong El Niños can reduce the storm count in the Atlantic Basin because it tends to increase the upper level wind shear, and that can rip apart storms that are forming over the Atlantic Basin. That's generally why you're seeing reports of maybe a below normal season, but it's not like flipping a switch. It doesn't guarantee we're going to have a below normal storm count, but they are forecasting a little bit below normal storm count. So currently, now, as of this afternoon, El Niño advisory is up. We have an El Niño. The outlook, this is interesting, is for El Niño to continue now through into February of 2027. So El Niño not only statistically reduces storm count for the Atlantic hurricane season, but it can also significantly increase snowfall for the Sierras, for the Rockies, for the Cascades, all the western mountains, because it can really energize the subtropical jet and just throw all kinds of moisture at the west coast of North America in winter. So that's interesting. So this is something we're going to be dealing with, not with its impacts on the tropics, but going into winter, it could really elevate snowfall out west, and it can give us a wet, cold winter here in Houston. On the Atlantic side, where we are, sea surface temps are above normal, but they're not super above normal. And in fact, they're cooler, several degrees cooler than last year at this time. So they're above normal, but they're cooler than last year. And while we're here, there's the Gulf, and you can see we are, a little bit above normal here in the central and northern Gulf of America. And in the Bay of Campeche, it's about here in the middle range. It's about 3 degrees or so on average above normal. So our tropical disturbance, which is here over the Yucatan, which is about to move into these waters, it's moving over an area where the water is plenty warm. But water temperature doesn't make hurricanes. Above normal temperatures does not just make hurricanes. So many other factors have to go in play to make a tropical cyclone over warm water. Basically, if you've got sea surface temperatures over 80 degrees, you've got the conditions where anywhere from a tropical depression to a Cat 5 can form. So we've got the sea surface temperatures to do that. But what's going to happen is, in general, this system as it comes out here is basically going to keep drifting west, and it's going to just run out of water before it has a chance to develop. Thus, the only 10% chance that it does become a depression or a tropical storm. Arthur would be the first name on the list. I don't think we're going to get Arthur out of this. Not seeing a whole lot of activity. Again, if there is a loose center to it, it's still over land, but just about to emerge over the very clear waters of the Gulf. You can see how clear it is. Got to get in the southern Gulf, Yucatan Channel, western tip of Cuba to find rain and thunder. This is all moisture that was with a weak tropical system, Christina. On the Pacific side, we talked about this, how we thought it might come over here and try to do something. That's exactly what it's trying to do as it moves into the southern Gulf. Closer view, nothing organized. We're getting some flare-up of thunderstorms here this afternoon across the northern Yucatan. Now we're getting a flare-up here across southern Mexico, but nothing that looks like anything is forming down here. I think the modeling on this is very clear. It's very interesting. So we're going to walk through this. So what we're looking at is now, it's the European model. So this is where it thinks things should be now, and this is very close to what's happening. We have winds out here across the Yucatan at the surface that in general are east to west. Okay, there's no closed low out here. Everything is linear. We're east to west. There's a little bit of a hump. See that little hump? It's a little bit of a tropical wave. And then the green is the rainfall. So as we go through today into tomorrow, okay, so tomorrow afternoon, look how things have evolved. There's a little bit more of a hump. That's, you've heard the term tropical wave. Well, that's a tropical wave. It's a bend in the wind flow at the surface. What we need if we're going to get a tropical system forming is I'll just go up here as an example, is that wave to get so sharp that it actually closes off. We get winds blowing in all directions, 360 degrees, not just flowing over a wave. We get a closed low. That would be a tropical depression. So we're looking for a closed low. We don't have that as of tomorrow afternoon. But it's a little more pronounced wave. We're getting closer to a closed low. We go into Saturday, and if we're going to get any sort of official tropical development, a tropical depression, tropical storm, this would be the day to do it because it's going to run out of room. In fact, it's already kind of running out of room. Now you see forecast winds do close a low. Does that mean it's automatically a tropical depression? No, it does not. We've got to get pressures that are dropping down. We really need to get them down below 1,008 millibars, 1,010, 1,008, 1,006 millibars. I don't know if we're going to go that low or not. That's one thing that would have to happen. But again, even that doesn't mean tropical depression. This is depicting a very broad and elongated, see how it's elongated? An elongated area of low pressure. That to me doesn't look like it's going to become a depression. Hurricane Center's looking at this. They don't think it's going to become a depression, thus the 10%, the very low odds that it actually becomes officially low enough pressure, close low, over open water to get us into tropical depression status. And at this point, almost half the circulation is over land, over the land of Mexico. So once you start getting it over land, that takes away its tropical characteristics. It's no longer pulling energy off the warm waters. So all signs point toward a broad, weak, low pressure area forming here, but not enough to be called a depression or a tropical storm. But as far as the rainfall this thing could make, that is all moot because this is still basically a huge area of deep tropical moisture. That's where the atmosphere is saturated almost completely from top to bottom. So you've got all this moisture in the atmosphere waiting to be wrung out in the form of rain and thunder. So now our focus will be turning to where will that moisture go. And as we go into Sunday, and again, what's left of what was a brief little broad circulation is here. Here's the moisture, and you get the idea where this is headed. So that's 4 a.m. Sunday morning. By Sunday afternoon, that moisture is here, and we've got rain and thunder. So I think what we're going to get is a very active sea breeze on Sunday in the afternoon. Rain chances begin to ramp up significantly on Sunday. We're talking about tropical downpours, rainfall rates 2, 3, 4, 5 inches per hour. And we could easily pick up 2 or 3 inches of rain in some spots in a short period of time on Sunday across southeast Texas, Houston area. So that'll be our first day of a weather impact alert. What is happening at the same time is that this frontal boundary, it's a cold front, technically a cold front. There's no cold air with it, but it's cold front, pushes in, and it slows down, and that acts like a speed bump. You know, a speed bump lifts your car. Well, this helps to lift all that moisture, all that tropical moisture, and it only takes a little lift to get it going, and you get it rising, cooling, condensing clouds. It taps into that saturated vertical column, and you get these tremendous tropical downpours. So this is a heavy rain setup, if there ever was one. Stalled front, tropical moisture. It's June. So we're going to have heat in play at the surface, helping to destabilize things even more. So Monday, weather impact alert for the threat for heavy rain. And Tuesday, the front still in the vicinity. In fact, what fronts are basically are a very long surface trough. So you can look how this is this way, and then you've got, I don't really see it closing here, but then you've got winds blowing that way. So you have an elongated trough along the coast. With tropical moisture in place, frontal boundary, daytime heating, it's going to rain. It just remains to be seen how much. So the threat from this is not going to be wind from a tropical system, it's going to be rain from tropical moisture. Inland flooding is, that may be the biggest overall threat we face here in southeast Texas is heavy rain and inland flooding. just if you were going to pick a weather threat that we face here, it would be inland flooding. We're flat as a pancake. We get tropical moisture moving in. We get fronts coming in, and when they come in together, you can get very heavy rain that can cause the flash flooding. So when we look at rain totals, this is the euro again, just kind of leaning on the euro. It looks like it has kind of a good solid handle on the whole thing. This is through Sunday. So rain Saturday, not much. Sunday, we could see some heavy downpours. It is saying mostly in the light green, most of us a ½ inch or less, some of us an inch in some spots. We saw this type of modeling a week and a half ago when we were in our really wet weather pattern. We had the sea breeze going, and we saw with the same pattern, just in one afternoon, we get some thunderstorms that would dump 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of rain in one afternoon. So take this with a grain of salt. We could have a lot of rain on Sunday. What is looking very likely and what the models are picking up on is we get this. So this is just adding up Monday and Tuesday. So basically from maybe a ½ inch to 3 to 5, widespread across the area. I think it is a dead cinch lock that we're going to get some areas that get 5 to 8 or 8 to 12 in some spots. Where that's going to be, I'm not sure. But remember, now we're going into this wet weather pattern, very wet weather pattern. With the ground wet, no drought, drought's all gone. I got the drought update today, no drought. So we're not, the bayous aren't full. They're down the bottom of their channel here. They've had time to drain off this week, which is great, but we're not in drought anymore. So it won't take as much rain to get those bayous and creeks reacting and filling up and causing issues than it did the last several weeks, where we slowly had this rainy pattern where we're now out of the drought. We got out of it without any flooding, but now that we're wet, we get this type of rain, it can lead to flash flooding much quicker. So with this, I expect we're going to see widespread from time to time, Sunday through Tuesday, high water spots on roadways, maybe a lot of high water spots on roadways, and we'll be monitoring the creeks and streams and bayous carefully. And there's your 7 day. So 2 more days of hot, humid weather. We had heat indexes up around 104 today. We'll do that again tomorrow. 105 heat indexes on Saturday as the moisture increases. There's a little better chance for a scattered shower Saturday, bumped it up to 30%. And then Sunday, by the afternoon, 80% chance for heavy thunderstorms. 90% chance on Monday, 80% chance on Tuesday. We're going to try to let the weather impact alert go on Wednesday, but even Wednesday, some of the models are saying there could be still some heavy rain around in spots. So we'll leave it at this. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, weather impact alert days. Take those seriously. Stay close to the forecast with us. Download the app. Turn on notifications going into the weekend. So if you're out and about having a good time, you get the update, and nobody will get caught off guard. All right, that's where we stand. Next live update on KHOU 11 News at noon. At 10. We'll see you then.